evening, creatures of the night. I am James Ghoul, and you are listening to the Ghoul Brothers, a refinery of nightmare fuel which plunges into the deepest crevices of the human psyche. Today, we have a few humble offerings, united by a common theme: family. Usually, families are a source of comfort and safety, but the families in these stories are just as likely to call you to dinner as they are to put you on the serving plate. This first story is of a found family of sorts, and it is entitled Mum. Last June, I was partying really hard with my bros. It was honestly a seriously crazy party. What you have to know about the house we were partying in is that it looks like this. The front door opens to the front hall, which is about 6 feet long. To the left of the door, there is an umbrella stand, but there are never usually umbrellas in there. Then, at the end of the hall, there is another ornate wooden door that opens into the living room. I've included several pictures to display the pertinent architecture. Anyways, we were partying hard in this house, pounding back some brews and listening to hot jams. Then, there was a knock at the door. I said I'd get it because Bordy, whose house it was in the bathroom threatening to kill himself like always. So I opened the door, and there was a very pretty girl. I've included the outfit she was wearing, along with a picture of a woman who kind of looks like her. So I'm like, "What up?" And she's like, "Can I come in?" And I'm like, "Are you a friend of Bordy's?" And she said, "Totally." And I was like, tight, so I let her in. She right away sprints into the bathroom. I was like, "Oh shit, Bordy's about to get some action." Then she came back out and had Bordy's head. Then she jumped onto the ceiling and started hissing at everyone. I led the evacuation to the cellar. However, she claimed 3 more lives on the way down. We slammed the door, but we could hear her a yelpin' and a hollerin' all the while. After a time, it got silent. Huey said we should go out and try and reason with her. I kicked the shit out of Huey for being a punk bitch. After 7 or 8 hours down there, we heard music. It was extra creepy. Then, the girl started sliding ham under the door. I ate it because I was super hungry. She asked through the door if I liked ham. I told her that growing up, I didn't really have friends, and my parents were never around, so ham was kind of a father to me. She said she loved me, and that she would be my new mom. I opened the door, and she killed all my friends. Then she put me in a bag and dragged me into the street. I came out a few hours later, and she was gone. I'll never forget her. Truly bone-chilling. If that story didn't spike your blood pressure enough to require an angioplasty, then surely this next tale will have you pricing local cardiologists. It is called Niece. I was changing my niece's diaper when there was a knock at the door. I instantly became scared because people have only knocked on my door twice, and they were both ghosts. I told my niece to hide, and she said okay, and that she was going to work on her trigonometry homework in the water closet. I armed the house trebuchet, and then went to have a look. Just then, there was another knock. It didn't really matter, though, because I was already going to the door. I opened it, and to my great surprise, there was no one there. I assumed it was just another one of my niece's practical jokes. I gave her a thorough spanking, and then took a shower. After my shower, I was rummaging through the Pop-Tart drawer when I heard a fax coming in. I went over to the fax machine and put on my spectacles. I was livid to find that I was faxed a blank sheet of white paper. I screamed at my niece, and then I went to bed. When I awoke, I saw that someone had tried to reach my pager. I was about to get really upset with my niece until I realized that there was just something wrong with the tiny light bulb. Just then, my niece came home and said that I received a telegram. I opened it to find the phrase, "Stop. Stop." Just to be safe, I told my niece that we should spend the next few days in the bunker. We slept down there for a while, eating only pickles and full meals. After we got tired of that, we went upstairs to find that our entire house was a mess, as if someone broke in. Someone did. The police. They gave my niece back to my brother, and they were really mad at me. Truly disturbing. Almost to the extent that I wish I didn't read it on the channel. Anyway, here's one final story to wash the last one out of your mouth, and remind us that not all specters and ghouls are evil. Some are friendly, but of course, still spooky. This final story is entitled Grumpaw. When I was 15, I was home alone, and my mom was going to visit my grandpa, who was very sick at the time. I had to stay home because I was laid up from a leg injury I had sustained. I was watching a movie and then decided to go to sleep on the couch because the movie made me very sad. I looked at the clock. It was exactly 6:41 p.m. I went to sleep. I woke up and looked at the clock. It was exactly 6:44 p.m. I decided to go to the kitchen for a late-night snack. As I walked in, I recognized a smell that I hadn't smelled in a very long time. It smelled like my grandpa's house. I opened the fridge, and there was a roast beef sandwich on rye. That was my grandpa's favorite sandwich. Then I looked in the sink, and there was a picture of a 1995 Honda Civic. That was the car my grandpa drove. I didn't think anything of this at the time. I finished making my BLT, and then sat back on the couch. Sitting on the chair across from me was an old man who was kind of see-through. He looked a lot like my grandpa. I was going to ask him who he was, but he said, "Goodbye," and disappeared. I didn't think anything of it. I ate my BLT and went back to sleep. At exactly 6:49, my mom came home, crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she said something totally crazy. My grandpa had died at 6:40-ish of his disease. I was really sad, but then I thought about all the weird stuff that happened. I think, in some way, it was my grandpa trying to say goodbye. So ends today's macabre familial stories. Hopefully, they haven't made you too scared or violently ill. Please subscribe to the Ghoul Brothers for more delightfully frightening spooks and scares. I'm James Ghoul, and I'll see you next time.